The Monday morning headlines say it all. Prince Andrew's attempt to explain his friendship with accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein backfiring.
Today we're looking at a news story that says a great deal about where Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor finds himself now. After months of speculation, confirmed briefings, and a slow but steady tightening of the walls around Royal Lodge, we now have a clearer picture of what he is asking for next. And for many watching this saga, the reaction has been the same. How on earth does he still have the confidence to demand anything at all? Andrew is said to be deep in negotiations about his new life on the Sandringham estate. He'll be moving out of Royal Lodge by the end of January. That point has been made more than once by people close to the situation. The set move-out day is said to be January 31st. But instead of quietly preparing for a simpler existence, Andrew is, reportedly, working through a list of requirements for his new home.
Unbecoming. He was a sex offender.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being polite, in the sense that he was a sex offender.
Queen Elizabeth's son, who is 8th in line to the throne, was specifically asked about his 2010 visit to Epstein's Manhattan mansion, after the financier pleaded guilty to soliciting minors for prostitution.
And it is not a short list. Andrew is allegedly asking for what they describe as a substantial 6 or 7 bedroom house on the estate. Not a small cottage, not a modest building. A large house with space, privacy, and enough rooms to resemble a country hotel. And that is before you get to the staff. He wants a cook, a gardener, a housekeeper, a driver, and even his police security. So basically, a fully supported household to ensure he never lifts a finger. A friend of his, speaking to the Royalist, insisted that this is a reasonable expectation. Their words were, "He is giving up the lease on one of England's finest houses and expects to be treated fairly." That quote stood out because it tells us how he and his inner circle still see the situation. Not as the consequences of his terrible actions, but as a man being moved against his wishes, who is now entitled to a certain level of comfort in return. Another friend told the outlet that Andrew has done exactly what has been asked of him and simply wants to be left alone.
The lawsuit was filed by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who, according to court filings, alleges Epstein directed her to have sex with the royal on 3 separate occasions when she was a minor. Giuffre speaking exclusively to Savannah.
It is a familiar line that we hear often from those around him. The royal family themselves have said nothing publicly about the exact property he will be moving into on the Sandringham estate. It is privately owned by the king, which is why the decisions are essentially in his hands. But a former courtier told the Royalist that none of this behaviour should surprise anyone. This person said, knowing Andrew, this was always going to be about money, and that he will haggle over every last detail of the deal. That comment fits perfectly with what has been reported about Andrew over the years. He is known to watch the financial side of things very closely. Those who worked with him have described long discussions about costs, contracts, and small print. So when we hear that he is treating this relocation as a negotiation, it seems entirely in character. The other part of this story is the lease itself. For years, Royal Lodge has been protected by that long lease agreement that was set to run until 2078. One of the key questions has always been what Andrew would receive if he surrendered it early. This week, we finally got clarity on that point from a report presented to the Crown Estate, referenced by The Guardian.
You've been on his private plane.
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Yes.
You've stayed at his home in Palm Beach.
Yes.
The Duke of York generating a new wave of questions in what has become a sea of speculation surrounding his ties to Epstein.
The report confirmed that the house requires extensive repairs. Not surprising considering its age, size, and the years of maintenance that were reportedly deferred or neglected. The Crown Estate explained that the repairs are not unusual for a tenancy this long, but they are so substantial that they will likely cancel out any compensation Andrew might have received for surrendering the lease early. So basically, the cost of the repairs will swallow whatever settlement he might have been owed. If the repairs were not necessary, he could have walked away with £488,342.21, which was the calculated amount under the lease. But with the condition the house is now in, that figure has in effect vanished.
We're staying at the house of
Yes.
a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay.
Prince Andrew linked to Epstein in a 2015 defamation lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's one-time girlfriend.
It explains a lot about why this situation has dragged on. Andrew has been clinging tightly to Royal Lodge, not simply for sentimental reasons, but because the lease had monetary value. Now, with that value effectively wiped out by the dilapidations, the bargaining power has shifted decisively away from him. There is also the matter of Sarah Ferguson. People magazine was told that she will be finding her own place near Windsor. She will not be living with Andrew on the Sandringham estate. That in itself is significant, because it ends their decades-long living arrangement, something they maintained even after the divorce. Why would Fergie stay in Windsor? Well, the answer seems fairly straightforward. Her work, if she still has any, her connections and her life are centred there. This new residence will signal the end and era of their shared living arrangements for the first time in a very long time, which may indicate the palace is drawing firmer boundaries. As for Andrew's expectations,
Prince Andrew denied he ever saw his former friend with underage girls in a pointed and detailed interview with the BBC.
Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming? Yes.
the picture painted by friends is that he does not see himself as someone who should accept a humble property. The phrase used in the reporting was relative luxury. Even after everything, he still considers that his starting point. And while many would argue that his position in the family has changed dramatically since his scandals, he and those closest to him appear to be holding on to a sense of entitlement rooted in his former status. An interesting detail is the amount of staff he allegedly demanded. It makes you wonder, who would be paying for that? Those details are not publicly confirmed yet. There is also the political element. The king has faced consistent criticism for appearing too lenient with Andrew. Allowing him a large home on the Sandringham estate may not be widely popular, but it may also be seen as the easiest way to move him out of Royal Lodge without open conflict. The palace seems keen to keep this matter as quiet as possible, even though the press continue to uncover more detail.
Now, I went there with the sole purpose of saying to him that because he had been convicted, it was inappropriate for us to be seen together.
Despite ending their friendship, Prince Andrew admitted he stayed with Epstein for 4 days.
What's now obvious from all of this is that Andrew, if nothing else, is consistent. He is demanding the best possible outcome, down to the last inch, even though he is no longer in a position of influence, out of sheer entitlement and nothing more. Those who have worked around him will not be surprised. One former staff member once said that Andrew believes he can argue anything and will keep pushing until the other side gives in. That seems to be exactly what is happening now. The fact remains that he has until the end of January to leave Royal Lodge. That date appears fixed. What happens after that is still being shaped. But the idea that he will quietly accept a modest property seems increasingly unlikely. For viewers who have followed this story for a while, this is another example of how complex his situation has become. There are financial considerations, family tensions, legal obligations, and public expectations all tied together. And through it all, Andrew continues to act as though the world around him has stayed the same. I would love to know your thoughts. Do you think he deserves a luxury, fully staffed home? And do you believe the palace will give in to his requests? Let me know in the comments. If you want to stay updated as more details emerge about the move, the negotiations, and the wider implications for Sarah Ferguson and the rest of the family, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. There is much more to come. Thanks for watching!